We have a follow-up for you now on a report last night about Senator Tom Coburn's chief of staff and his theory that pornography, straight pornography, makes people gay. Yes, he said it. No, he was not misquoted or taken out of context. And it turns out there is significantly more to this story. Here it is. As the Republican Party searches for a way out of the political wilderness to which they were exiled by the 06 and 08 elections, Americans interested in how and when and if the Republicans are going to battle their way back to power have been watching two groups: elected Republican officials, including the National Republican Party, and the conservative movement. In the 10 months since the election, both have had some successes and some failures. Among Republican elected officials, the party's galvanizing vice presidential nominee, Sarah Palin, unexpectedly quit as governor of Alaska. Presumed Republican presidential hopeful South Carolina Governor Mark Sanford did not quit, but most of the other Republicans in South Carolina want him to, after he confessed to an extramarital affair in Argentina and then started getting investigated for misusing state funds. Another Republican rising star, Nevada Senator John Ensign, also confessed to an extramarital affair. Concurrent with that affair, the Republican Party apparently gave a policy job to the teenage son of Ensign's mistress, and then fired the teenager once the affair was over. Plus, Ensign's own parents paid the mistress off to the tune of nearly $100,000. The National Republican Party, meanwhile, picked Michael Steele to be its chairman. Mr. Steele does get a lot of attention when he speaks as chairman, but often not for the right reasons.
This change, my friends, is being delivered in a tea bag, and that's a wonderful thing. You have absolutely no reason, none, to trust our word or our actions at this point.
Crazy nonsense, empathetic. I'll give you empathy. Empathize right on your behind.
We still own empathizerightonyourbehind.com on this show, just so you know. Under Chairman Steele's leadership, the Republican Party has refused to answer questions about whether it created a job for the son of a Republican senator's mistress. They have sent out push-pull fundraising letters claiming that health care reform was a secret plot to deny health care to anyone registered as a Republican. And they've now sent out a mailer trying to convince Americans that health reform is a secret plot to deny health care based on race. Only black people will be able to get health care now, or only white people, or something. They apologize for the health care only for Democrats mailer. No apology yet on the health care only for the master race mailer, but give it time. So among the Republican Party establishment, it's been a tough 10 months. But in Congress, they have had some unity. They all voted no on the budget. Everybody in the House that's a Republican voted no on the stimulus plan. They're on track to all vote no to reform health care. And frankly, the Republican Party is energized for its chances in the midterm elections next year. That's elected Republicans. That's what's going on in their national party. For the conservative movement, which is the other thing we've been watching, this past 10 months has been more fun than a bag full of squirrels. Their post-election game plan, as it turns out, was foreshadowed by the funkier and more outlandish fears and anger that were expressed during the McCain-Palin campaign.
I can't trust Obama. I have read about him, and he's an Arab.
Professional public relations outfits in the Beltway conservative movement Republican axis were able to tap that inchoate anger and fear and direct it, channel it into anti-health reform, anti-Obama, and anti-government Tea Parties and town hall meetings. The Tea Party Express bus tour, led by a Republican activist and failed Senate candidate named Howard Kaloogian, as well as a Republican PR consultant named Sal Russo, they just announced today that following the Tea Party that was held in Washington to coincide with the anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, they're now going to start another Tea Party bus tour to culminate exactly 1 year before the 2010 elections. So both elected Republicans now and the Republican conservative movement, the movement that drives the party, they're trying to focus in on the next elections. 2010 is their big goal. But even before 2010, they've got their sights set on a couple of governor's races that happened before then. The New Jersey race, in which incumbent Democrat John Corzine is facing a Republican challenger, and the race in Virginia, in which there isn't an incumbent running. It's Democrat Creigh Deeds versus a Republican named Bob McDonnell. And here's where the conservative movement and the Republican establishment smash into each other like bumper cars without bumpers. Here's where Republican electoral chances stop being separate from the wild-eyed excesses of the conservative movement. At the Values Voter Summit this weekend, Republican presidential ever-hopeful Mitt Romney told the conservative crowd there that he thought signs were good that the Republican in the Virginia governor's race, Bob McDonnell, would win. Romney this week also raised over $100,000 for Mr. McDonnell. But Mr. McDonnell has seen his poll numbers shrink recently, ever since he brought up his master's thesis in an interview with the Washington Post. Mr. McDonnell did his graduate degree at televangelist Pat Robertson's Liberty University. And after he brought up his thesis with reporters, those reporters went and read it. And then they promptly reprinted the parts where he said things like government policy needs to stop favoring the cohabitators, homosexuals, or fornicators. Fornicators? He also says that women shouldn't work outside the home, for what it's worth. After electing 2 Democratic governors in a row, is Virginia really going to turn around and elect a Republican this year who went to Pat Robertson's University and who crusaded against fornicators? Well, now it's getting worse for Bob McDonnell, and his poll numbers show it. While Mitt Romney was singing Mr. McDonnell's praises from the main podium at the Values Voter Summit, another session at the same event has since become famous, and you know it, for proclaiming to a hushed audience that porn makes you gay. Not gay porn makes you gay, but all porn, even straight pornography, makes you gay.
All pornography is homosexual pornography, because all pornography turns your sexual drive inwards. Now think about that. And if you tell an 11-year-old boy about that, you think he's going to want to go out and get a copy of Playboy? I'm pretty sure he'll lose interest. That's the last thing he wants.
The man speaking there is Chief of Staff to Senator Tom Coburn, and he is now and forever famous as the guy who thinks straight porn makes you gay, and we should tell 11-year-olds that. Activists opposed to Bob McDonnell's Republican campaign for governor in Virginia are also now noting that the straight porn makes you gay guy is cited twice as an authority by Bob McDonnell in that famous thesis that he wrote about the evils of fornication. So now the Virginia governor's race, once a shining hope for Republicans trying to find their way out of the political wilderness, is going to become a race in which the Republican candidate is stuck answering questions about whether he too believes that straight porn makes you gay, whether he still believes that fornicators must be opposed actively by the government. Part of watching Republicans try to return to power is watching their elected officials in action. Part of it is watching the conservative movement trying to shape the Republican Party. And part of it is watching the conservative movement eat the Republican Party, eat their electoral chances over and over and over again, as the things they think they're saying just to fellow conservatives in private keep making their way to a general audience that could be full of fornicators and people who think that straight porn can do something to you, but it really, really, really doesn't make you gay.